I welcome you to another Tuesday with Learn with Joes, where I teach on a course in philosophy of religion, theology, religion, and spiritual formation. Today, I'm continuing on what I started last Tuesday on metaphysics, or what we call metaphysical issues in philosophy of religion. My name is Josephine, and this channel is Learn with Joes, an academy of knowledge economy. Last Tuesday, I taught on general introduction in metaphysics, or we can say metaphysical issues in philosophy of religion. Today, I'm going straight into the definition of metaphysics, or what we call metaphysical issues in philosophy of religion. And you know I love to show you my PowerPoint presentation. As a teacher, I like bullet points. I like whoever is listening to me to understand, and in understanding, without cost to, I can't hear what the digital professor is saying, is by showing you clearly some of the things I'm saying on that PowerPoint presentation. So you can jot notes, so you can read yourself, and that will give you more understanding of the issues I am discussing or I am teaching. Before I start showing you the PowerPoint presentation for today, let's join Learn with Joes. I welcome you back. For those who are just joining me, my name is Josephine. I am your digital professor. And today, teaching is a continuation of metaphysics, metaphysical issues in philosophy of religion. I'm going through with you today the real core definition of metaphysics for your understanding. Last Tuesday, I went through the general introductions for you. So, hold on while I present my PowerPoint presentation. You can take your pen, you can take your paper to jot out notes. You can record, you can do whatever you like. I just want you to understand what I am teaching. And I love feedbacks. Please, to make me better, I love feedback. And that is why when you finish watching my video, you could look at the description box. You will find some necessary and highly recommended links there. You will also get my email address where you can send your comments. You can make your comment directly under there or reach to me through my email so that I can respond to you and then you can respond back to me. Honestly, I can't teach everything online because this is a free teaching. It's just to whet your appetite in that topic that I am teaching. If you want more, you can reach me on one-to-one or a group teaching, like in a kind of master class, where I'll be able to give you more details about those courses I am teaching. And at times, when you go to Taking Fig or my shop on my website, you can pick up some of my teachings that I've put on PDF. It's for a very little token. You can encourage me by buying them. Thank you for doing this. And I want you to please still subscribe if you have not. I want you to share my videos to others. I will love that. And I want to thank you for doing that. So join me now as I share my PowerPoint presentation. Metaphysics, a branch of philosophy of religion. You will have heard of epistemology, ethics, logic, all those things there are. And when you hear the word metaphysics, I know it connotes or denotes different meanings to people hearing it. Let's go straight while I give you the definition of metaphysics. A beginning definition of metaphysics involves the word itself, that word, meta and physics. Metaphysics is Greek for after nature. After nature. Thus, metaphysics is concerned with the question of what exists beyond nature. Or does something invisible support the visible world? For example, we do see part of the world before us. Is this all there is to it? Or is there more to it that we cannot see, that we cannot perceive, that we cannot dream of, that we do not know? If so, how can we know about it? And this has actually pushed a lot of people. You can imagine people visiting the moon to be able to see what is there in the moon, or finding out there are other planets from this world itself. The total universe. Is there anything after the total universe that we do not know about? Metaphysics is far more complicated than asking what exists beyond nature. It is interested in nature. Metaphysics is interested in space. Metaphysics is interested in time and several essential elements in the world, in motion, in change, in causality, the universe, and other issues. Now, let's look at metaphysics and philosophy of religion. Because metaphysics is a branch of philosophy. Metaphysics is a branch of philosophy of religion. So metaphysics, that is a branch of philosophy, considers the ultimate nature of reality. Of course, since philosophy concerns itself with questions that can't be answered by scientific investigation, many questions about the nature of reality can't be answered. Like, are there black holes? And what is the chemical composition of water? Are not really metaphysical, because you could get scientific answers to these questions. But other questions about reality, however, questions like, does God exist? And do we have free will? Are probably destined to elude any empirical resolution, and so are genuinely philosophical. And these genuinely philosophical questions are the sort of questions metaphysics addresses. Are you following me? Questions that cannot be answered or given solution through scientific method or empirical resolution or solution. These are the questions that metaphysics addresses. The nature of metaphysics. You could see this diagram I'm showing you now, because you must be a philosopher thinking. Metaphysics include a lot of things that deals with nature of reality. One of the early definitions of metaphysics was that of the Aristotle, who wrote, and I quote him, "A science investigates being qua being, and what belongs essentially to it." This science is not the same as any of the so-called special sciences. For none of these sciences examine universally being qua being, but cutting off some part of it. Each of them investigates the attributes of that part. That is, the part they cut out of it, of the being qua being, they investigate, as in the case of mathematical sciences. Aristotle proceeds to talk about being distinct from various other disciplines. Similarly, metaphysics has been called the science of sciences because it is not merely interested in the accumulation of facts only, but a systematic reflection on these facts uncovered by various scientific disciplines. Crossing lines such as biochemistry. My first degree is in biochemistry. I diversified right from my second degree, my master's, and my Ph.D. that deals in theology. Because, in honesty, philosophy of religion is a discipline that cuts across science and theology, which is why I left biochemistry alone to go into it. So, crossing lines such as biochemistry, biophysics, astrophysics, and others indicate the inadequacy of traditional discipline lines. Metaphysics has overtones of another discipline, which is religion. And religion is also interested in what it means to be and whether there is a reality beyond the natural world. If anything is more interested in what is beyond natural world, it is religion. However, religion suffers severe criticism from several modern metaphysicians. A.E. Taylor, who is quite sympathetic to religion in many ways, claims that metaphysics deals with ultimate questions in a purely scientific spirit. Its object is intellectual satisfaction, and its method is not one to appeal to immediate intuition or unanalyzed feeling, but of the critical and systematic analysis of our conceptions. Taylor's view relegates all religious thinkers to the level of romantics or irrationalists. Heidegger similarly rules out an appeal to the God of the Bible because a believer cannot question without ceasing to be a believer. And that is it. A believer upholds and holds on to faith in something not seen, hope, something. So you cannot question without ceasing to be a believer. But in both Taylor and Heidegger, there is a feeling or presumption that believers are not thinkers. I don't agree with that. Believers too are thinkers. The atheist begins his thought with only nature, which is the difference with somebody who's theist. A theist begins with belief in God of creation. The atheist begins his thought with only nature, and after examining the alternatives, concludes that the God of the Bible makes more sense in his attempt to understand the metaphysical issues. In honesty, you cannot understand metaphysical issues without believing in that God of the Bible, because it's that God of the Bible that makes more sense in understanding the metaphysical issues. Neither Taylor nor Heidegger are accurate to the spirit of metaphysics, and they rule out beforehand a possible answer that might be of great help. One of the traditional criticisms of metaphysics is that it demands too many presuppositions to begin. The ideal is always to begin without presuppositions. Can metaphysics be systematic and conclusive if it omits an area of investigation for help? Metaphysics is not religion. But if metaphysics is to seek an understanding of the totality of nature, it will seem that it should not deliberately ignore religion. I want you to underline this and understand exactly what I'm saying. Because we are going to later on, I'm going to teach on African metaphysics. Some people, they arrogate metaphysics to occult, which not. But I am saying emphatically that metaphysics is not religion, but if metaphysics is to seek an understanding of the totality of nature, it will seem that it should not deliberately ignore religion and the God of the Bible. If metaphysics is to be the science of the sciences, of the science of being, nothing should be ruled out, and everything will be examined with equal enthusiasm. The concept of God is so germane in metaphysics. Theism is depicted by belief in a God that possesses a unique set of attributes. The concept of God is fundamental to theism, since the viability of theism must begin with the tradition of the concept of God. Most views about God fall into one of the relatively small number of types. Polytheism is a belief that there exists a plurality of personal gods. Polytheism is common among tribal people and is present in Greek and Nordic mythology. Enotheism recognizes a plurality of gods, but the enotheist restricts his allegiance to one god. Monotheism holds that only one God exists. And when you think about Judaism, you think about Christianity, you think about Islamic religion. They are all monotheism religions that hold on to only one God. God is understood as a personal being, supreme in power, knowledge, and moral worth, the creator of all existing beings. Pantheism is often associated with some varieties of Hinduism and other Eastern religions, but also common in the West. Pantheism holds that it is not proper to think of God as a personal being or a being of any kind. Panentheism says that God is not identical with the universe, but should be seen as including the universe. Dualism is a variation of polytheism. The dualist holds to a plurality of only two gods that are opposed to each other, that one God is seen as good and the other God is seen as bad or evil. Deism is a variation of monotheism, which is theism, and the deist believes in one God like the theist, but believe that this God does not involve himself in his creation, and that is the difference. Absolute monism is a variation of pantheism or panentheism. The absolute monist holds that God is an absolute unity that is manifested in less than fully real world of plurality. Other views about God include the views that reject belief in God. Agnosticism holds the truth about God cannot be or is not known. Atheism denies the existence of God. And naturalism is a worldview that entails atheism. The naturalist does not believe in any supernatural realm behind nature. The theistic concept of God is the dominant view of God. The three world's great religions, like I mentioned earlier on, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, oppose this concept of God. And in the Judeo-Christian tradition, there is a well-defined list of characteristics that are seen as essential to God. The theistic God is conceived as a supreme being, worthy of worship, and the supreme object of religious devotion.
And in Yeshua WhatsApp video.
Sorting through the difficulties surrounding the traditional attributes of the theistic God is such a fundamental problem that Richard Swinburne devotes approximately 2/3 of what many consider his seminal work, The Coherence of Theism, to an explanation and defense of the coherence of his attributes. Although there are many disagreements among theists that need to be explored, Swinburne's view is typical of the traditional theistic concept of God, namely that there exists internally an omnipresent spirit, free creator of the universe, omnipotent, omniscient, a perfectly good, and a source of moral obligation. I have come to the end of the definition of metaphysics, which is another step or level next to the general introduction. I'm still going to talk more on metaphysics or metaphysical issues, especially when we were talking about definition, I kept on mentioning being, supreme being, another being. So I'm going, maybe next Tuesday, we are going to go into that being before I come to African metaphysics. Thank you for joining me for today's teaching. See me on Friday for a Friday tonic. Have a blessed week. Thank you. Don't forget to share my video. And if you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Just punch the subscription button and then go to my description link to get my email where you can make comments and send to me, and some other recommended services or products that I have chosen specifically for those of you because I love you. Thank you. You are blessed.